Hello, hello, hello. What's happening, folks? How's everybody doing? Just let me know if you can hear me okay and see me okay and all that stuff, if it's working all right. I think it is. It's pouring some tea here. Wake up. I just took a little nap. I'm at that age. Daily naps. Very important. It's also just touring. It's hot. I'm in Athens and it's like 90 something degrees out. It's crazy. Even now at like, what is it, 8 p.m.? 8 p.m. Kind of bonkers. There's Todd Roy. There's Glenn. There's Ben. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? That's kind of a new look. The when you put text up, that's cool. Or I highlight something. StreamYard getting all crazy. Oh, there's some other new features. There's like an audio meter now. Interesting. This is a web-based. The thing I use StreamYard to do these live streams. So when you sign into their site, it just becomes a new thing. If it's a new thing, it's not like you have to download a different program or something. If that makes sense. So kind of cool. But anyways, video Kiko posted was cool. Pete soloing over "Born to Be Wild." Fun stuff. Yeah, we got another special guest tomorrow. I'm not sure if it's announced or not, but for our Athens gig, we got somebody coming to sit in. So I won't say who, but it should be fun. So we're getting towards the end of the tour. About another 4 shows. It's crazy. I think we've done 20, must be 27 or 28 at this point. It's a lot of gigs. Yep, getting there. We're getting there. Ben says I can do broadcasts at 1080. That's cool. Yeah, I was wondering why it defaulted to 720 without me having to ask it to do that. I sort of assume I'm never sure about hotel internet. It's always like never great. It's like, and I assume if I go to a higher resolution, it'll probably need more juice. So I know I can do that in my studio, but maybe not the best idea to switch it here or something, because it seems to be working good right now, which is always nice. If it just works, I'm happy. Yeah, that's the reason why people used to nap in the afternoon. Yeah, because it's hot as hell. I know, right? But I took a nap at 7:30 because it was 91. I was eating upstairs here where I'm staying, and I was outside, and I was like, okay, I think after a meal, I'm like ready to pass out. It's hot as hell. So, anyways. Oh, what else have we got here? You remind me of the Anthony Bourdain of music. Travel all over, meeting cool people, eating great food. Have you ever met him or Josh Homme? I never met Anthony, man. I would love to meet Anthony Bourdain. He was such an amazing guy, and a big fan. His show was amazing. It was, obviously about food and travel, but it was more just about people, wasn't it? It was about bringing the world together, and his experiences resonated with me as being, a traveling musician that I am. You go around the world and meet people, and you find out that we're more alike than different, and so I really enjoyed that about his program. I thought it was just terrific, amazing show, and he was just obviously a really, really interesting person too. Josh, I did a show with, man. I got to play with him in Palm Springs. It was coming up to a few years ago now, in the fall. I hope it happens again sometime, but we did a gig for a old theater that's in Palm Springs that's currently being renovated. I think it might be opening now, actually, soon. But we were raising money for the renovation. It's a legendary old theater, and so in the same set, I was kind of in the house band, and it was myself and Brian Ray, Matt Sorum, Eric Singer from Kiss played a few songs with us. A guy named Teddy Zigzag that used to play with Guns N' Roses and Slash and stuff. He was involved as well. Spike Edney, and did I say John Button, my bass player buddy, plays in the Who. But anyway, we were kind of the house band for a group of really amazing folks like Paul Rogers, course, legendary Paul Rogers, Alice Cooper. Orianti came and played a few songs on guitar as well, and Josh Homme. So with Josh, we did. Sorry, I just woke up, so I'm trying to remember. I'm moving a little slow right now. What's that song? Jerry Rafferty. Right Down the Line. Such a beautiful song. Beautiful song. What a cool choice. And I enjoyed learning it and playing it, and I hadn't heard it in years. And so we played that, and we did Let's Dance, which he'd done at the Taylor Hawkins tribute. And we did a Queen song. And I'm spacing on the name of the Queen song now. But anyway, it was really fun. Really great tune by them that I wasn't actually familiar with, and then learned it for the show, and it was such a cool tune. So it was a real honor to play with him. He's an interesting guy for sure. All right, what else we got here? Wondering if it would be possible to get your live streams on YouTube Music as podcasts. Would be great for my commute, since I mostly listen to audio. Does anybody know about that? Maybe Ben, maybe you know about that. Is it possible to facilitate that in a way? Is there something that I could do to make these available via YouTube Music? Simply something different that I should do? Bet Ben knows. So let's see if he responds. How are you liking my home country? I'm having fun, man. It's really hot, so unfortunately I haven't actually been out that much. I went out last night to a really interesting area. I'll find the name of it here. It's kind of found my way there, actually, and it's called Exarchia. Is that right? And it's kind of, I guess, the Athens kind of counterculture kind of area where there's bars and pubs and restaurants and stuff like that, but it's very looks like you're an Escape from New York or something. Like, it feels sketchy, but the people don't feel sketchy. It's interesting. It's like bars and cafes and stuff, and some really nice areas, but it's like there's every square foot, like as high as you can reach with your hand, is covered in graffiti and stuff. It's just really crazy, like around there. And I guess it's sort of the counterculture, sort of edgy part of Athens. And I went out there last night, had a really nice time, just like kind of wandering around, taking pictures, and having a couple beverages and stuff like that. Heard a little band play that was just kind of set up out on the sidewalk, in front of a club. It was like a makeshift. It was really interesting. So that was fun. Tommy says, I'm glad you're in Athens, got to explore. Yeah, I did that. I mean, I got there at least, and then tomorrow I'll have a little bit of time, but it's just so hot in the day that I can't quite describe. I mean, it'll really wear you out. And then tomorrow I've got the gig at night, and it's probably going to be 85 degrees about the time we go on stage at 10 p.m. And it's kind of smoky out because of the fires. They've had about 5 major fires burning in the country, kind of mostly on some of the islands at this point, but there was one close to here. And it was probably, not the greatest air quality yesterday and stuff. So I didn't go out and walk a lot and stuff because of that. But I did make it to that zone last night, which was pretty fun. Yeah. A question on touring, doing 25 plus shows. At any point, does the shows become a grind? No, not when you're playing with these guys, I mean, you can have different nights where if there's a technical issue or something, or something that's eating at you, that'll put you off a little bit. I mean, luckily, knock on wood, knock on something. I've almost made it through a whole tour without any of that business. The crew's great. Everybody's been really on it, and everything's good. But I'm just stating a kind of in a blanket term. If things like that happen, I guess it could sort of put you in a mood or whatever. But I mean, every night I'm learning, and it's a thrill to be on stage with these cats, So it's just an honor of a lifetime, really. So it certainly doesn't get old, And camaraderie and conversations and laughs and stuff has just been, they're just really nice people that I've gotten to be friends with now, and really, really loving that aspect of it as well. So, do I miss home? Yeah, I miss home for sure. I've been away a lot this year, and so it's going to be good to get home. I mean, you can feel all those things at once. That's the thing, and not. It's okay to feel all those things at once. I think to be a little homesick and miss home and everything, and also be always in a state of gratitude and happy with where you're at, and really aware. Try to be present in the moment. Really soak it up. You can feel that at the same time that you miss things as well. So, yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. I saw Andy Timmons at the Guitarist Sanctuary last night. Oh, cool. Hoping Sets Fire Tour comes to Fort Worth, Dallas. They invite Andy to play. Oh, that'd be great. I'm sure that, he's such a good guitar player. And a lovely guy, right? And wow, what a musician, Same weather here. Is that right, Ben? Is it really hot up there? Kind of crazy? Was Snake Plissken there? Been a while. The name's Plissken. Call me Snake. Right. I love that movie. Cult classic. When you see that movie when you're my age that I was when I saw it the first time, which was probably 10, something like that. It was like, ooh, that's edgy, weird, cool. What if that were to really happen? Yeah. What else we got? Let's see. I'm just going back to the chat a little bit here. Let's see. Roasting at my gig yesterday, says Johnny, was hot where he was as well. 91 at load in, 4,000% humidity. Yeah, you can still manage to have fun. You just drink a lot of like Powerade or whatever, right? Stay hydrated. Drink your electrolytes. It's got electrolytes. Is this your first time in Greece? No, I played here. It was here once when I was a kid, 14. So that would have been my first time around 85 or something like that. And I was here in Athens, and also went to one of the islands. And then in 2007, I played here with Chris Cornell opening for Robert Plant. Yeah, we did it. It was a really great show. Super fun. Europe, Chris Cornell, Robert Plant was the bill. Got some cool pictures from that night. Remember, I sat right on the grass in front of the barricade at the front of this, right in front of the stage, and watched Robert Plant. It was like my own personal Robert Plant show. He was like 20 feet from me. It was awesome. What a night. Really cool. So, but that was the last time I was here. It was a long time ago, 2007. Yep. We all miss the normal Sunday Live. We appreciate you popping on to talk to us when you can. Thanks, 3J. Appreciate that. It'll be back soon. I think I've got one more where I'll be away. I think next week I'll be on a day off the day before I fly home, actually, for Sunday Live next week. Let's just take a look here. Yeah, that's right. So next week I'll have some stories about the last week, and it'll all be coming to an end for this at least this year. Yep. I should be in Munich next week in some hotel. Ready to fly home. Let's see. What else? Lots of amps and speakers pushing air on stage. Is that in our band, you mean? Yeah, definitely. Counting down to see you tomorrow. Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. See you there. Come on out. Should be good. There was a little bit of I think an issue with the venue, and they had to change the venue. I think some fans, I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to misspeak, but I know there was issues with the original venue that we were going to play at here, just from a fire safety standard. And I know it's closed now. Like, they've officially, you can't even go there or use it at this point because of things like that. So I know some folks were hoping to. It's supposed to be very cool. It's that you can see it from here. It's on a hilltop, and it's a legendary place. And now the new venue for our show here is somewhat outside of town, so it requires a drive to get there and whatnot. But as I understand, it was the safe way to do it. The only safe way to kind of have a show, and it's certainly come to fruition with its fires burning. I mean, when we came in the other day, we passed one about 15 miles away, and it was thick, gray, black smoke on the side of the. The sun was all blotted out yesterday, and it was, these fires they have, that's something they share with California. So, anyways, gotta be safe about it. Looking back through the chat again here, and see who else is here. Sonny in Wolverhampton, you guys were so good. Thanks. Got to catch up with Ned Abbott. He's amazing, man. I mean, I wasn't, to be honest, aware of him before this tour, and he's what a great guy too, and such an interesting musician. He's super sort of soulful, rootsy, but he plays this crazy guitar. It's kind of all I don't know if it's glass or if it's lucite and it's fretless, and he uses a slide on the neck, and it's really cool. Is what he does, So yeah, and he's super nice, isn't he? He's a lovely guy. Yeah, great guy. Thanks for the compliment. I'm glad that you saw the show and you enjoyed it. Yeah. So the Kiko video, killer rhythm parts when Kiko Vai and Sat traded solos. Thanks. Yeah, nice to see you get in on the solo action. Yeah, it's always fun. It's like, oh, you sure you want me to do this with all these guys coming out? But it's really fun. They've been so nice about including me in things, and they're just gentlemen and scholars. Yep. What else we got here? Let's see. Will you be adding more dates to your Classic Rock Show UK schedule? I'm not sure about the UK in particular, but there's more dates coming for sure for Europe and stuff. So that's a good question. Whether or not I'm not actually sure about that, whether or not there'll be more specifically in the UK or whether that's it for the UK, what's already been announced. But for those that are interested in that and haven't seen, there's dates up on the Classic Rock Show Instagram and my Instagram, etc. Yeah, then back on tour with Fight for Fighting. That's right. I've got a short run with Fight for Fighting coming up and Vertical Horizon. So our buddy Matt Scannell. So we head out on the first show's the 12th, I think. Is it? Or 13th? 12th or 13th of August. Coming up soon. In Ohio, I believe, is the first gig. And we've got gigs in the Denver area, something down around Dallas, Colorado. I want to mention that. Salt Lake City, a bunch of dates. So that'll be a major, I'll be barely over the jet lag and major gear shift, and out with those guys and Randy Cook and Sean Hurley and of course John Odrodzik. So it should be a lot of fun. Yep. 4 more shows to go, and then Homeward Bound. The Cat is waiting. Yeah, the Cats. I know. I can't wait to see them. Really miss those guys. I miss those dudes. Let's see. What else are we talking about here? What else? What's your opinion on the Boogie Mark 425? Sold my FM3 and got back to basic. I spent more time on the app than I did playing. That's a common complaint, with modelers, and certainly with, Axfax. It's an incredibly capable device and a really great device, but some people do get sucked into tweaking, I remember reading a post on the gear page, I think it was, and the guy said, my wife actually was the one that brought it up. She was, he had his music area in the house, wherever that was, and she mentioned to him as she walked by one day, you used to play more, now you just kind of noodle and tweak the sound. You used to play music, and now you just sort of play with sounds. And I was like, oh, that's good. Sometimes it takes somebody else to observe what you're spending your time on. And it's, it's a valid thing. You gotta still play. Most of these are supposed to be tools that serve our playing, not just an endless source of like your phone or something, where you're just scrolling or something, trying different overdrives or 5,000 IRs or whatever. So sometimes the options can be overwhelming and take over. I think it's a good thing to be aware of. Mark 425. The only time I've ever played one was at Michael Thompson's studio. If you watch the Tim and Pete video that we did with Michael Thompson, we went to his studio and he plugged us into his amp, and we each took a pass at a solo. I quite liked it. I thought it sounded good. I mean, recently I was playing that Mark IIc, Mark IIc++, Mark IIc+, Mark IIc++ as well in my studio. And I was reminded of how good those amps can sound and how familiar the sound is for me, actually, because I kind of grew up. Some of my first amps were Mesa, and so it's a familiar sound to me, actually. That thick, liquidy gain thing, and I thought the Mark 425 that Michael had, that was I haven't played a lot of boogies in the last 20 years or so, but when I went there and I played it, it was like, oh yeah, that thing, like this very liquid, fat single note sound. I thought it was really good. Yeah, I was kind of reminded of that again recently. But when I think about it, it was like, really, for me, the reason why that tone is familiar and fairly comfortable for me is my first amp was a little Trainer 10 watt. And I had a Boss Super Overdrive and a chorus pedal. That was what I had for the first couple of years. And then I got an Ibanez combo of some sort. Don't have no memory what it sounded like, but it was a 50 watt solid state, 2-channel, clean channel, dirty channel affair. And not too long after that, probably another year or two later, I got a Marshall, which was the MOSFET Lead 100, which was basically a J7800 the 2210 sort of version, it had a clean channel and a dirty channel, first channel switching Marshall, sort of, I guess, kind of like the Tom Morello amp, but it was the solid state version of that. So it was basically same controls almost, but the solid state version that had actually sounded pretty good, MOSFET version of a Marshall, and I used that for maybe from, I want to say, like 85 or something until 88, maybe 4 years, something like that. Played shows on it, my first gigs, and actually did things, where I was, playing at talent shows or whatever the heck I was doing as a kid, and my high school. And then in 88 or 89, I got my first Mesa Boogie stuff, and I ended up with a Caliber 50, which was a 4EL84, and my memory is a really, really good sounding amplifier, actually, but it ran kind of hot. They discontinued it after a year with that power section with the 4EL84s, because supposedly they were kind of unreliable for them or whatever. It just was, they came out with the Caliber 50 Plus. That amp didn't sound the same to me. It sounded more fizzy. I had a friend with one, and I got rid of my Caliber 50 because of the, it's red plating tubes and stuff, just having issues with it. It was also my first tube amp, and it just kind of I got cold feet a little freaked out because of the issues with them. So I traded it, and I got a Studio Pre and a 295 power amp, and then I used that for the next 4 or 5 years. So, I went from the Caliber 50 to the Studio Pre, and really used that, it's probably a good solid 6 years, maybe 7. And then at some point around 93 or so, 92, 93, I also had a Mark III that I got in the US, and I used to use it cover gigs and, playing weddings and bars and things like that. I remember having that amp in Hermosa Beach and playing a cover gig with my buddy Frank Symes. All of a sudden I couldn't hear my guitar, and I turned around, and the bar owner was playing with the knobs. And on a Mark III, it's like, you get away from your sound, you're in trouble. All the push-pull and all the, I was like super pissed. I was like, what are you doing? He was like, you're too loud, turn down, and I was like, well, I was super pissed, and not even supposed to be in the bar at that point, I think, because I was 19. Remember that? Yeah, I had that. That's right. So if I was I was 20 I'm putting it all together now. It's funny. I was still underage and I was playing at this bar in Hermosa Beach. I didn't sneak in. I went in for sound check and then I had to stay in the bar and not leave so I wouldn't get ID'd. I remember that. So that I wouldn't, so that I could play the show. So I just stayed in the bar after sound check, and I had the Mark III. So I guess I must have gotten that. That would have been 91. So I guess it's pretty interesting. I don't know when I have that. You guys have this like where you don't remember where you bought things and sold things, and I have no memory of when I got rid of the rack with the Studio Pre and the 295 power amp. And now I'm thinking, because I'm coming to the realization that I clearly remember having the Mark III in the club that day and the guy turning the knobs and me being super pissed and me also being 20 years old. And that means that it was 91 or 92. So I probably didn't have the rack anymore. And the 295, I probably traded it for that amp or something. And I don't have any memory of when I did that. Anyway, boring, not interesting. But yeah, I don't. Just gear comes and goes and stuff, and then you don't remember what you did with it. Yeah, I remember trading that Mark III in because eventually I didn't really like that amp. You could get good tones out of it, but you couldn't get a good channel switching thing. I felt like it was like, hard to get all three channels to kind of work like they had advertised it would. So I traded it in for this white Parts-A-Caster Strat that I used for a number of years. That was actually pretty cool looking. It was like a cream body, rosewood board, maple neck. Kind of looked like Fender Custom Shop, and it had a Fender logo on it, but it wasn't. I think it was like it might have been warm-off parts or something that somebody put together, but I found it at a local store. Seem to remember it was in Pasadena, I think. This music store used to be there. And that was the end of the Mark III. And yeah, that's that. Anyway, enjoyed the Sweetwater vid on EVH. That's right, that came out this week too, didn't it? Really glad that was Nick Bocat's idea. And it's a video where, if you haven't seen it, where we go over a bunch of different sort of rhythm stuff, Eddie Van Halen rhythm stuff. Because everybody's always focusing on the lead stuff. I thought I'd go over some of the cool stuff he did related to the rhythm guitar parts in songs. He's the kind of player that was always switching between rhythm and lead all the time, but much like Hendrix or something, it's like they seamlessly blend into one another, but still. But anyway, it's on the Sweetwater website if you want to check it out. Will there be a follow-up? I don't know, maybe someday. We kind of covered it, I think. We kind of covered it, so I don't know that necessarily we would do a follow-up or not, but what else we got here? Let's see. Might get noisy here in a second, so I might just move. I'm just gonna pour a little more tea and then relocate. A second. Let's see if I can find another zone. Come with me, folks. Come with me, folks. While I relocate. Uno momento. This looks like a good zone. Maybe that's a better zone. This looks like a quiet place to do a live stream. There we go. All right. Just some kids showed up over there, and it's kind of, to be fair, there's like a foosball table and stuff. I was like, ooh, if that starts up, it's going to get noisy. That's their kind of area to do stuff like that. So I moved. Hit that like button. Says View of the Askew. I like that name. It's a crazy hairdo you got there. Is that you? Oh, sorry, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Congratulations on the 29th. That's right. What's the 29th? Is that someone else you're saying that to? Fill me in. What happened? Or what is happening? Johnny says, smash the shit out of the like button. I guess it helps. Yeah, the videos haven't been getting quite the views. And that's my fault because, of course, the times are all over the map. And, you know, it's never quite as popular when I'm doing Sunday Live on the road. I've noticed that for sure. Generally, folks like it the most when I'm in my studio. Music Life with Thorn says, when you're back out with Five for Fighting, we'll have to hang out again. Come on out again, man. See us play when we're in your hood. You took some great photos. Appreciate those. Yep. Simpler the better, says Todd. Yeah, when it comes to gear, and I know I'm kind of leaning that way too. I'm just thinking about, it's gonna start to get overwhelming. I'm starting to think about things I got to do in the fall and what I'm using for that. Even the Five for Fighting tour, because at this point I got gear going in multiple different directions, and I'm not gonna have my gear back from this tour, and then I've got gear that's in England, and it's like, what am I gonna do? So, but I've been using Quad Cortex for a while with Five for Fighting, so I think it's just gonna be that again, and then it just becomes an issue of what power amp that I use. Because I won't have I've got gear that's coming back to the States. I've got gear that's in England. My wireless rack is going to England again. So, and it's got a Matrix power amp in it that I usually use the wireless and the Matrix for the Five for Fighting tour, along with the Quad Cortex, but I won't have it. So what do I do now? Well, I probably do the power amp that's in the 2 Notes Reload 2 is what I'm thinking for my cabs. It's light. 2 rack space. That should work nicely. And then I maybe just go with a cable, not worry about a wireless. So it'd be guitar into Quad Cortex on the stage, just maybe that. Maybe I just normally I use a couple pedals with the Quad, but maybe I'll just revamp my presets, just go, you know what? No pedals, just Quad Cortex. That's it. And running lines out of the Quad Cortex, back to the power amp by a couple of 112s, and that'll be the rig. It's only, I think we're playing like 8 shows or something. It's not a long tour, so, and that'll work great. I really like the new power amp that's in the 2 Notes Reload 2, so it should work good. But I think you should get the VP4 and Sir Reactive Load and use the VP4 for IRs, part of new firmware. Well, the reactive load's great. You could do all your post effects with the VP4 and the IRs, sure. It's a cool way to go for sure. A lot you could do with a rig with that and a nice amp. Wolverhampton was a great show. Robert Fripp walked past me whilst I was finding. Yeah, I heard he was there. Yeah, I heard Robert Fripp was in attendance. So surprised he wasn't hounded by people. Did he drop by backstage before the show? I think Steve saw him. Yeah, I didn't get to meet him, unfortunately. I didn't even know he was there until after, which is a good thing. I usually don't like to know that people like that are there. Then you're not self-conscious and thinking about it, So it was kind of funny. We did Hellfest. We did Guitar and Scene in France, festival. It's right beside Switzerland. Last week, and we were right after Dream Theater, and I was playing, and it's Joe and Steve, and then John Petrucci standing on the side of the stage watching us, and I was like, this is a lot right now. Just from the perspective of, hold it together, because there's a lot of great guitar players you're surrounded by right now. It's like kind of crazy, but Johnny says, option paralysis, I know it well. It's a thing. It gets me too, Yeah. It's me. Just finished Breaking Bad. On to Better Call Saul, but I might want to watch El Camino. Yeah, El Camino is cool. Watch that. It's a 2-hour movie, and then watch Better Call Saul. That's what I would do. Yeah, really great. Good stuff, right, Joe? What a show. Are Boogie's making a comeback or something? Seems a lot more talk of them these days. Well, that could be a reflection on Gibson taking over, I guess, and trying to build the brand some more, and getting it out there and doing things and stuff. That's probably what it is. I don't think they've ever really gone away though, because you've got folks like the aforementioned John Petrucci and certain people that have always used them, where they're like mainstays of a rig. And Boogie really had a 90s renaissance or 90s 2000s with the dual rectifier series anyway. And then I guess maybe in recent times they haven't been talked about as much, but guitar amps in general haven't been talked about as much, as the modelers came in, right around the 2005, 6, 7, 8, people started using Axe effects, and that became the thing that most people talked about. And then amps were sort of still used obviously and stuff, but like maybe there is a thing with like people getting back to I think there's a certain contingent of I'm sorry, I can't remember the poster, but somebody that just said they've gone back to the Mark 425, and I think we go in waves of interest with this stuff, and sometimes we realize maybe the tool is not the right tool for the job for us, or we buy something, go down the modeling path, and we realize we really just want a tube amp, or vice versa. Use tube amps and then find modelers and go, where's this thing been all my life? This is so easy. So it just depends. But I'm just waxing on and on and on and on about all kinds of crap, aren't I? Please tell Dave Friedman to let you try the Jose when you get back and do a video. Well, if he wants me to, if Dave and the powers that be are interested in me doing a video, I'd be happy to for them, for sure. I love playing around with amps. So what's the differences, similarities between the Mesa Mark series and the dual and triple rec? Not very much, really. I mean, a dual and triple rectifier is far more, for lack of a better, far more martial, I think, architecture-wise. I mean, there's sort of, it's not a secret that they were really kind of close to a Soldano, really. And a Soldano is not that far off from a Marshall sort of topography. So they're closer to that, whereas the Mark series is way more Fender, in where the EQ falls in the circuit and stuff like that. Different sounds, dual rectifier. Although I don't really hear a similarity in this. Maybe somewhat, maybe in the sort of general big grain distortion that they had compared to a Soldano, but they were different sounding. They were way, bigger and to me, a Soldano, you could get gainier and more hot rod Marshall, and a dual rectifier was more always just this sort of a big grain dual rectifier sound. It just kind of became a sound. I don't know what. It's probably got something to do with the power amp and the way it was implemented and stuff, because it's sort of not really like the Soldano, I don't think, in some ways, and transformers and stuff, stuff like that. So you could probably, it's an interesting thing. Could you dial a dual rectifier? 5150 is close too. So how close could you dial all three, running through the same cabinet, like other things being equal? Could you make them sound like one another? Cool idea for a YouTube video, I guess. Somebody else will probably take it and run with it, or it's probably been done. Yeah. Braxall says Gibson's really pushing them. Got to get their money out of their purchase. Yeah, it makes sense. There's still, there's still a lot of the guys there, like Doug West and and was it John Marshall? Is that right? And folks that I talked to on the phone. I had a nice phone conversation with them before I made that video about the Plus amp, and got the history of the Marks, because I was always interested in that, like what's the difference between a Mark IIB and a C Plus and all the, and it came down to circuits and effect loop and like different things, relays, switching, and for channels and making it quieter and all this kind of stuff that you can see me talk about in the video if you're interested. It's a kind of, I give a quick synopsis of the history from Mark 1 through to Mark 2 C++. There's a lot of amps in there. There was the Mark 1, the Mark 2, the Mark 2B, the Mark 2C, the Mark 2 C++, the Mark 2 C++. Right? And then we get to the Mark 3. So, yeah. Oh, you meant the Mark 525. Jorgen. Yeah. I did. Yeah, I was thinking, is there a Mark 425? But then I thought, well, you must know better than me. But maybe you made the error. Yeah, I think it, because I was like, I was actually thinking while I was saying it. I think Michael Thompson's was a Mark 525. But then I thought maybe not. I was talking about it a little bit, but I think that's right. I don't think there was a Mark 425, right? Maybe there was. I don't think so. I think the first time they did 25 watt version was the Mark 5, and that's what you meant. So we're all clear now. York and Manchester was awesome. See you playing next year up the road from me in Carlisle. Look forward to that. That's Classic Rock Show, right, Ian? You went to both shows, York and Manchester. That's cool. Yeah. Did you notice the difference between the two at all? I wonder, because Manchester was 4 gigs in, I think, and York was the very first. So I seem to remember having a pretty good show the first night out. That it was exciting and crazy, but I think we sound like a different band now. The difference to the casual listener probably would be very little, but if you listen closely, it's probably like a little wilder now and a little more dynamic and and fun. Plus the stage, it's weird, you don't, when you get on a stage with a bunch of people that you haven't played with, no matter who they are, and certainly if they're a couple of heroes of mine, it's like you want to find your ground and your footing and figure out what you can do and what you shouldn't do, what is good and what's not good, when to step back, when to step out, all that kind of stuff. So certainly on York, and maybe not as much by Manchester, I was feeling that stuff out, Yeah. Arthur says, my first amp was a PV Backstage Plus. I remember those. A couple of years later, I got a Bandit, would run them together with clean, dirty sound. Had no idea I was doing something more advanced. That's cool. Yeah. Hey, I mean, could have been your best sound. You never know. I liked it. I mean, I'm not even joking. Bandits I liked. I mean, the Trans Tube Bandit was a pretty damn good amp with the Trans Tube, knob on it that allowed you to kind of, I don't know. I thought those were pretty good sounding. I mean, I'd like to try one now and see what I think of it. Maybe I'd be like, this sounds terrible, but I bet you I'd play through it and go, not bad. They were all right. And it was funny because at the same time those were coming out in the 90s, PV, of course, had the Classic 50s, which were great. The 410 was great. The 210 was great. Classic 30, I never liked that one as much. It was like a mid-range bomb. But the Classic 20, what an amazing sounding little amp. That's a sleeper. The little 20-watt 2EL84, gainy, cool lead sound, kind of like a Mesa Studio 22 was cool. Like just this great little EL84 mid-range lead thing. Like I loved it, actually. I thought that little Classic 20 was cool. Never owned one. Maybe I'll buy one of these days. Try and find one. Awesome see playing videos of the tour shared by people. Thank you. Hope you get to enjoy some nice Greek food. I had a great Greek salad for lunch, and I had some nice pita and hummus and stuff. And yeah, I've been enjoying. Let's see. Gonna hang about another 10-15, I think, and then go out for a stroll. I think because it's probably cooling off outside, so I'll go an hour and I'll split. About to start doing fly dates with my band within Canada and overseas. Should I get a Carlton case? That's one of those like kind of molded jobbies, right? And gate check it. What do you use for cases for single or dual? Well, that's a great question. I've got a couple. I've got an Anki and I've got a Gator that's similar to an Anki. Full disclosure, I'll take responsibility to some degree for this, but with the Anki, I actually had a problem my first time out, and that is I actually cracked a headstock. So I haven't mentioned that yet, but I'm going to take somewhat responsibility for it because it was Les Paul, and it's not his fault, but I gave the case to a tech to fly to Vegas for a gig. And it was a gig that I did there with Royal Machines a little while ago, right before this tour. And when he got there, he opened up the case, and the part of the side of the head, my black custom, unfortunately, part of the side of the binding had, like the headstock, it hit the end of the case. The binding, wood had cracked and it was off. Now, anyway, that guitar had a headstock break before. And once I got the guitar out of the case, I realized that I could feel where the break was more. Now, it held on, and I used it at the gig. It was tuned in E flat, had 9s on it, so not a ton of tension, but I was worried as hell like the headstock was going to give away. But I could feel that it was starting to separate again where the break was. So what had happened was, I think the case got thrown and literally landed on the headstock end. Like, just so you know, inky case, long case, literally, boom, just landed like. And all the two guitars shifted forward. What did I take? I took 2 Les Pauls. One was fine. The other one had you could picture the tune where the D string tuner is down to about the A, the binding and that piece of wood chipped off. Still functional, the tuners and everything, but just chipped. And then the pressure just created that, where it's started down to separate just a little bit. So anyway, I'm having John Sir fix it for me. It'll be good as new. It already had a break. He's just gonna separate it a little bit more. He's gonna inject glue in there and then clamp it and put it back together. And I'm gonna officially retire. There's about 4 million people by the elevator right now. So, sorry, it just got really noisy. So hopefully you can hear me. But hopefully it'll be fine, I'm sure. And then I'm just going to retire it from touring. But anyway, I'm not going to completely blame it on the case, because I will blame it on the case if you don't pack it as well as you can at the top with the foam that they provide. And I gave the case to this tech because the techs were flying with all our gear the day before to Vegas. So the techs handed all the gear, and then all I had to bring was a suitcase and get on a small plane to fly there. And he's a great guy. I mean, I'm not blaming it on him or anything like that, but he took it and packed it as he saw fit, and he's never had a problem with them before, he said. And got there, and he sent me this text, said, "I'm sorry this has happened." And I'm like, oh, shit. But anyway, when I looked at it after the fact, I just realized that if you look, let me try to find a picture, because I want you guys to know that if you get one of those and you fly it, what to do. Inky double guitar case. I find a photograph here. That way I can. Okay, first phone's not working right. Sorry. Basically, the trick is to just put as much foam as you can, I think, into the top of the. Oh, I see it's on the wrong Wi-Fi network. Okay, just give me a second here. Sorry. Okay, inky double case. Okay. All right. Okay, so here's 2 different photographs. Here's one of an acoustic guitar in an inky case. These are these double. For those that don't even know what I'm talking about, this is a double guitar case that you can put up to, 2 an electric and acoustic, 2 electrics, 2 acoustics. This is what you don't want to do, which is fly it with nothing on top of the headstock. That's what happened with mine. The necks go into here, and then this piece folds over the top, right? It closes up, and that's how you ship it. Well, what you want to do, and they do provide foam for this, is you want to have that piece of foam in the top. And maybe even more stuff up there, like stuff up there, and make sure that the guitars can't shift or move into the end. Because what ended up happening was, see the lip up here, that silver lip? My guitar, I know it flew into that lip, and like just caught the edge of it enough, So the other thing they give you as well, I'll tell you, see this piece of foam right here that the necks slip into? They give you 2 of those. And I tried actually putting them both in. So this was all foam, and this was not the way it was sent, but you can do that. You can actually, if you're maybe not with an acoustic or something, but with my guitars and Les Paul, you can certainly do it. 2 pieces of foam in the top, and make sure the foam, when you close it up, is covering that lip at the top. That's going to be my recommendation. And I don't think it would have happened if that had been the the way that I had sent it. But yeah, you just want to avoid this, the way that, see how there's nothing in the top there? That's a no-no, I think. Just that's how it is. And then when you look at this, yeah, I would be, this is just me, but see that Explorer headstock there sticking out? I would be worried about that. I wouldn't fly that like that, not knowing what I know now. The lip, close it up and then it's going to be open at the top. But if that guitar somehow manages to shoot this way, at least I would pack the bottom with foam and stuff so that those necks can't really shift. Because you got to imagine they're just going to, exactly what I was worried about was what happened, and so, yeah, avoid that. Nothing at the top. Stuff that top full of soft stuff and something that's going to absorb any kind of shock. Okay, so that's my story about the Yankee, and just a personal anecdote. I'm just coming clean with exactly what happened to me. Here's a better shot of the lid, the door that closes. So you can see there's foam at the top there, and then you can see the top. You can see the lip there, the edge going around. That's hard, and you just don't want anything to make contact with that. So get creative, I would say, with what you do with that. Now I've got a Gator case, and by the way, I think this is largely dependent on the type of guitar you're sending, like that Explorer or Les Paul. Worry about it a little bit, but a Strat or a Tele, I wouldn't worry about it. Nothing. It's not going to happen. Like maple neck, some of the maple neck that's bolt on, still put the foam in the top and everything, but I wouldn't worry about those guitars. It's only the semi-hollow Gibson mahogany tilt back headstock stuff that I'd be careful with. So let me see if I can find a photo of the Gator that I have. Gator. Was I pissed? Yes, I was pissed when it happened, but I had to kind of think about it and go, all right, let's think about how this happened. And, here's the Gator. I don't know if I've got a picture of. Gator makes a few different double guitar cases. I'm not seeing a picture of it here with the door open, but there's the one. You can see the one. It looks a lot like the Yankee. See that? And I quite like it, actually. There's not a photo. Well, maybe there's a photo on the webpage. Here's the Thoman page. Let's see if there's a photo of it with the door open. There probably is, or not. There's not on this website, but it looks like that, and that you can see the latches on the side. You just open those up, that thing pops off, and it's not a copy of the Yankee. It's a little different in the way it's implemented, kind of like this one, to be honest. Yeah. So, but it depends on what you're flying there. What do you got in the picture there? Oh, you got a Firebird maybe in your. I don't know if I fly the Firebird. If you do, just put the foam at the top. That's my road dog, advice. Okay, that's a good question though. I've never had that question, and I've never addressed this. Well, it's only been a couple months since it happened, a few months, but anyway. I have a 57 Les Paul Custom with the super tilted back headstock, so I worry the mono bag might not be strong enough for heavy trailer touring purposes. If you're not flying, these Yankees and stuff, these cases will be fine. If you really want a case that you don't have to worry about, the Gator or SKB series or Gator equivalent, like they're crazy ones that are really like, that's what I'm most. You were mentioning a Carlton case or whatever they're called. Clifton or Carlton, whatever they're called, just I'm sure they're good too. Those like don't they make cases for cellos and stuff? For orchestral instruments and stuff. I think it's pretty well known. But certainly the SKB series I've had no problems with. I've got one of those for my SG that it's huge, but it's really 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 good. you just want to make sure on, if it's a single case, that nothing, you never want anything to be other than, maybe soft foam or something to be able to make contact with the headstock. That would be my main concern, is the headstock on these things are the break point. Obviously, you've seen a million Les Paul breaks and stuff like that, so you have to be very careful. So just be fully aware of that. And so like in an I series, the neck has got great support, the body's surrounded by foam, and then the headstock, never, also just word otherwise, never put anything under the headstock, like so that so that it's going to hit anything, or have, like, don't stuff cables or straps in there or anything, because there's space here. Look, I can put this under. No, leave it wide open under the headstock, so the headstock is just floating in air. You never want it to make contact with anything. In the case of the Yankee, it's like, if it was going to make contact with anything, I wanted it to be super soft foam, that it would absorb impact. But generally speaking, sometimes people will put, it's when a headstock can bounce and hit, the end of so if a case gets thrown or something and the guitar hits the ground and there's enough, play in the case where the guitar can jump and that headstock can either hit here or hit here, that's when you get a break, so you just want to have the neck completely supported, and then when the guitar takes an impact, you want the neck to just, in the case and the body and everything, just to take all the impact, and the headstock's just floating in air, never hits anything. That's the goal. So just, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is, and that's my feel about some of these double guitar cases. I mean, I'm using them, like I said, I wouldn't worry about with Fender style guitars, but I did look at them and go, really? I have to say, that's my honest, like, I'd look at them and I went, you can put that on a plane? Like, really? Like, and then I heard lots of anecdotal stories. Everybody, yeah, man, they're great, they're fine, I've never had an issue. And I went, all right, I gave it a go, and problem the first time out. First time. And Dave Friedman always makes fun of me. He's always like, if something's going to happen, it's going to happen to you. Your shit always breaks, Not on, hopefully not on this tour, but I do tour a lot, and I use this stuff, and stuff gets thrown around, gets thrown on planes and stuff. So I guess it does happen to me, because it's, one mad, airline person. You see these videos of people throwing guitars and stuff, Did you play with Cornell in the north of Norway in '97? Town called Bodo. No, but I played with Cornell in like Tromsø and super far north in 2007 and 2009. And also in Kristiansand, way down south, and Oslo. We were all over Norway. We did a lot of stuff there in my time, but not in '97. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for the Sunday Fun Day. Is there any new effect or something you've added since the Satisfy tour? Electro Harmonix Ravish Sitar, which I use on Love of God, and one other song as well. Use it on, what's the other song I use it on? Oh, Crying Machine. Yeah. Anything else? Cloudburst. Let's doing a bit of ambient stuff. Trying to remember if I added anything else. I don't think so. I think that's it. I'm using an expression pedal that I normally haven't brought out for a while to do some stuff like roll-on H90 ambient delay and stuff, and big long-tail reverb and stuff on Always With Me, Always With You, in the B section, kind of where there's a big ambient kind of, pretty B chord. I hit the first chord with the expression pedal down, that controls the send in the H90, and then I roll it back and I go back to the arpeggio, and I hit the B again with the pedal down, and it carries over, and then I go back to the arpeggio, stuff like that. So I added that. Other than that, same that I've been using with Classic Rock Show for a couple of years, really. I'm going to hang another couple minutes. I'm going to split. While touring, do you have musicians friends that reach out and say hi? can I come hang out at the show, or is there too much going on? Oh no, we have friends come out for sure. I mean, all my classic rock show friends happen to be in Wolverhampton the night that we played there. Well, not all, but good, at least a few people in our sound guy, a few folks from the band and our sound guy were there, and so they all came out and had some guests. That was nice. It's always great to see friends on the road. Always try to accommodate. Sometimes you got to run right after. It just depends on the situation. But I've seen a few people. I saw Jen Majura out in where the heck was that? Was that in Germany? Probably. Can't remember. I think it was. And yeah, a few of the other shows. Folks have come out. It's always nice. Yeah. What else? Have you heard any new music? There's a new Big Wreck out. Coincidentally, Ian did a tune that sounds like he's doing his best Steve Vai sort of, Shy Boy sort of song. So that's out, and that's pretty fun. Joe turned me on to this band called Car Bomb. It's pretty cool. It's like really heavy, crazy music. What else have I been listening to? Well, there's a couple there, right off the top of my head. Braxall says 29th wedding anniversary. Oh, that was what? Happy 29th. Congratulations. That's awesome. That's excellent. Have fun on tour. That's awesome, says Toa. Lots of love from Canada, says Phil. You're living the dream. We're all proud of you. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, Hoser. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. I'm going to move down in the chat here, and then I'm going to split. Let's see. Somebody's saying they edited Breaking Bad into a 3-hour movie. That's kind of cool. That's a neat idea. Did you actually cut stuff out and made it? You had to have, right? Edited the first 2 seasons into a 3-hour movie. Wow. How did it come out? It's like the Coles Notes version. Interesting. Yeah. Friend had a dual recto. I use a practice sounding incredible loud. Yep, just need to be turned up. Yep. Just saw a video of you by Saturated Kiko. Awesome. Oh, I think I did that one already. Highlighted that already. Yeah, he was a great guy. Really nice. He came out in Finland. I'm in Greece August 21st. Any chance you can hang around? No, I'm sorry. I got to go. My cat would get mad. Playing around with TC 2290p. Lots of cool sounds, especially stereo. Never really messed with stereo. The stereo in the 2290 is, it'll do a ping pong delay, right? That's cool. And it'll do the, like where it throws one side out of phase and you get that kind of phasey delay thing. It's kind of interesting. But it's not actually, I guess ping pong is sort of true stereo, but you don't actually have a stereo independent delay on each side. Not to be picky, but I know what you mean. You kind of get the effect of a stereo delay if you're using a ping pong delay. I always think of true stereo as like, independent left and right with separate controls for each side. But yeah. Does the audience care? Not really. If you got a nice ping pong delay going, that sounds pretty darn stereo and cool. Hey, from Fort Smack, Alberta. All the what does that mean? Pirates next door. Know your channel. Thanks for answering my question. Appreciate you and the insight on new gear. You bet. Yeah, you bet. Yeah, expression pedals are fun when you get into them and start to go, well, I can do some interesting things here, like to dynamically, kind of mess with the music and maybe add, any Europe classic rock shows. Yes, some stuff coming. I don't know about Sweden, definitely Finland. So definitely Finland. But I'm not sure about Sweden yet. We will see you January 31st in Salford. Okay, sounds good. England, my home away from home these days. Are you familiar with John from Sonic Drive Studios? No, I'm not actually. He uses Fractal FM3 to track DI at a default Unity gain. That's interesting. So he uses FM3 and just takes a DI so that he can then reamp later. That's interesting. It's a cool idea. Yep. Just looking through the comments here. Sounds like having straps around the body fitted to the case. Yeah, like that would be cool on another version. Certainly my guitar vaults have that stuff with the big strap that goes. I mean, they've got a crazy vault I have with straps that you can wrap all the way around the neck and then kind of secure to the bottom of the vault. That would actually be good, you know. New product, the headstock sock, like golf club covers. Yeah. I mean, you know, I just think that the goal is to keep the body from shifting like that if there's any way, but yeah. Richard says, pizza real deal, hanging with the heavyweights. So on this tour, has there been any takeaways or something new you learned from being on this tour and being walking around rubbing elbows? I mean, all kinds of things, man. I mean, yeah, I mean, absolutely. You know, anecdotally, I mean, if you sit with Steve for a little while and talk with him, the conversation is going to get very interesting. It's just the way it tends to turn, you know, as far as philosophically, the things you think about when you're playing. And we had one of those the other day, and you know, it's a very special guitar lessons, really. But Steve has a, you know, just if I had to summarize it, he's got a great way of thinking, being present in the moment and not worrying about what do people think of me or what you know, like that kind of stuff. What do oh, maybe I should do this, and then playing very, you know, patterned it. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thinking. He's way more like about I don't know, talked a lot about sort of standing above it, looking down on it, and then being sort of like getting to be a little bit more mentally like one with the music, you know, which for me, how I've gotten there, at least partially the way there recently, is like closing my eyes a lot more when I play so that I'm not visually getting distracted by, look at all the people, or, you know, are they having a good time, or just, you know, sometimes you want to look at people and like connect with them, and, you know, people way back. I like doing that too, but if you're really trying to be inside a part or something, you know, like, and especially with in-ears, it's one cool thing about in-ears, I guess, is that it's right there in your head, you know. So for me, you know, I was mentioning to him that I can close my eyes and just kind of like tune all that out, and then it's just me and the music, you know, and you're in it. And he was mentioning sort of, you know, I think what he was trying to say was, now you want to be able to do that with your eyes open, like, and actually like it's a like a higher level of kind of like connecting with it and being super present and being really inside it. And yeah, he has this kind of like I want to say sort of fearless thing, like where he's drawing on a lot of things, you know, obviously his experience, but you know, he takes a lot of chances and just goes for things, and it's very inspiring. So just watching that has been, you know, it makes me laugh, you know, it blows my mind like all the time, you know. And Joe does too. I mean, Joe's a master of a lot of things. I mean, the context musically that you see him in on this show is obviously rock, you know, and he's just at the core, you know. Obviously, it's a legendary stylist, but he's also just a great rock guitar player, you know. His time, you know, when he burns, it's like super burning, and the things that he goes for and stuff, and, you know, so, you know, it's just, I've assimilated a lot, but, you know, it's not like as much nuts and bolts as you might expect, and maybe it's more like philosophy of how to approach what's going on stage and stuff, you know, and also just the way that they pace the set, and you know, because there's no singing going on I mean, they are the singers, and so it's been inspiring to see how they pace, and dynamically weave a show so that you could play for 90 minutes to 2 hours and entertain people the whole time. So as a guitar player, yeah, been very super interesting, and it's not lost on me. So yeah. What else we got here just before I go? Let's see. Just gig with Sir guitars that are headstocks, no flap. Yeah, that's true. Anytime you get Gibson's places, you're not wrong. They're just delicate. My Sirs are. I don't worry about them. Honestly. I think you're making a joke, but it's actually true. And that would go for Strats and stuff too. Just even with a maple neck, it's always easier, right? I thought it was clever they did for EVH signature with the carbon fiber rods alongside the truss rod into the headstock to prevent breakage. That's a good idea, actually. Like if you just had short carbon fiber, I think there's some discussion about running carbon fiber all the way down the neck, about it kind of killing things. I think John has mentioned that to me before. But I guess if it was just like reinforcement around the headstock, I didn't realize they did that. Is that like on every EVH guitar? Or wasn't actually aware of that. Anytime you put a Floyd Rose nut on something too, I guess you're probably weakening a little bit if you're drilling, especially the old style with the bolts that go through. I guess they don't really do that anymore. Now they screw into the top, but yeah. Troll says foam at the top, stuff it with t-shirts. Yeah, stuff like that. Just make it so that it doesn't fly into the end and hit that seam where the lid closes, and I'm sure you'd be fine. So, yeah. Did Pete Thorn talk of reviewing the Tonex VH7879? I don't really need it. I mean, to be honest, there's a lot of great stuff out there already on that that's come out. But I'd be happy to if they wanted me to. I really like it. I've tried it, and it was very good. I have it. It's excellent. Yeah. So how far in is the stream? I started at about 8 p.m. my time, so it's now, I've gone about actually an hour and 11 minutes, so I guess I better split. But I'll see you guys next week. I'll be in a hotel next week, and probably with not very much to do, so I'll probably try and do it at the regular time, which would be around 11:30 to noon LA time. So there's a super chat from someone. First one of the show. Got an Ernie Ball Music Man Axis. Love the tone of the wood. Hate the pickups. Really? The proper pickups, right, for that? Would a Thornbucker 2 and Thornbucker pair work on this guitar, aiming for hot PAF, not really Van Halen? Well, yeah. It's interesting. You don't often hear people wanting to switch the pickups in those guitars, because they kind of buy them for the special pickups, the Marzios. But I appreciate that. If you want to try my pickups, go for it. Yeah, Thornbucker 2 is basically a 9K, nice warm, but with clarity because of our wind and stuff. PAF, and then Thornbucker neck. It'll be great. Just more, hot PAF, not Van Halen. Sure, I mean, 9K PAF. Sort of think that is sort of early Van Halen in some ways, but you're talking about the later, the 14K or whatever, sort of version of what he was doing. It's not that. It's a lower output, and go for it, man. I generally don't hear people dislike the Thornbuckers. I mean, not tooting my horn, but when people get them, they're generally like, "Oh, I love this." I mean, they balance real nice. Put them in a guitar like that, and I think you'll love the middle position. It's really nice. And if you want to get crazy, put a push-pull, maybe for Series Parallel or something like that in the volume tone control. And you can get a bunch of sounds that, get 6 different sounds. Yep. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to split, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for the great questions. There's some good stuff that we haven't really touched on, like double guitar cases and stuff. Don't ever remember talking about that in the past. So there's still ground to cover on this show. See you next week, Sunday at the usual time, I think. Should be. I'm pretty sure that I'm just going to double check before I go. Make sure that's right. 27th. 27. Yep, I'll be flying home the next day, so I should be able to do one kind of end of tour wrap up, you know, and I'll be all melancholy and sad, missing my friends because everybody will have been going different directions and going home. All right, you guys, take care. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week for sure. And rock on, be nice to one another. See you later. Bye.